Hi everyone, welcome to ABC Interactive English. I'm Mike, and we are here for day 2, or part 2, of our Stories and Fables unit for this month. This month, we're actually reading a very interesting folk tale, or an old story told by the Inuit people, the Eskimo, the sort of northern people of Canada, Greenland, Alaska, places like that. The story has also an interesting title, The First Tears. So we're kind of going back, probably not really like history, it's more of a fairy tale, as I said, a folk tale about the first tears, the first time someone cried or something like that. I don't know, it sounds kind of interesting. And so far, we've actually met a man called the First Man. So this is just a person who lived long ago in the northern parts of the world. But like many Inuit, many Eskimo, many northern people, he was a hunter as well. He was out there in the ice trying to find his food. And of course, for Inuit people who live so far north, hunting is one of the only ways they can get food, right? They can't grow things because the ground is covered in ice and it's cold all year long. So forget about having a farm and growing plants. No, they got almost all of their food, I would guess, from hunting birds, fish, other animals around them, and seals. That's what the first man was hunting in part 1 of our story. He was out there on the ice by the seashore, a big group of seals in front of him. Every time he got quiet and got behind the seal and tried to get closer to get it, they would slide into the ocean and swim away. This happened several times. So there's always another seal out there that he can try to catch, but you got to imagine that if this happens once and then twice and then again, he's getting hungry, he's getting a little worried, he's getting frustrated. This is becoming more of a challenge, more of a difficult thing than he'd hoped for. So let's check out today's article and see if the first man can get the first seal before he has the first tears.
Man did that again and again, but the seals always got away. In the end, there was only one seal on the seashore. Man didn't want it to get away, so he was really quiet. However, when he started to move, the seal slid into the sea. Man stood up after that. Then he got a strange feeling in his chest.
All right, so as we talked about yesterday, this was kind of a frustrating experience for First Man. He's hunting seals, but every time he gets close to one, even though he does all the right things, he's behind it, he's moving very quietly, not making any noise, but the seal would maybe smell him or hear him or just feel a strange thing, feel a strange feeling, and the seal would slip into the water and swim away, leaving the man with no food and having to start all over again. He did it once, he did it twice, and it seems like even after a third or fourth time, he still wasn't successful, because our article for today begins, Man did that again and again, but the seals always got away. He was 0% for catching seals on this day. Not just once or twice, maybe 3, 4, 5, 10 times. The seals were always escaping, slipping into the ocean, swimming away, and so he was constantly feeling, oh, I just need one seal, why is this not working? In the end, though, there was only one seal. That's only one seal left for him to hunt. As it says, in the end, there was only one seal on the seashore. So he kind of tried to hunt all of them, and every time he got close, it would slip away. Maybe another 2 would follow it. And so finally, there's the one really lazy seal on the seashore. He's like, nah, I'm not moving. I don't care if he's hunting. I'm going to stay right here. So this is his last chance. The last seal he has a chance to catch and bring home for food. Well, of course, this time he's really determined. He's like, I'm gonna get that seal. It says man didn't want it to get away, so he was really quiet. Yeah, well, I mean, for hunters, this food might be the only food they've had in weeks or the only chance they have to find food for a few more weeks. So not hunting, not bringing home some food, this could mean a serious problem, maybe even, a problem surviving if he doesn't bring some food home. So this is super important. He didn't want it to get away, so he was really quiet this time. And the other day we talked about the word noise, right? When you make a loud sound, that's a noise. When you're quiet, you are trying very hard to not make loud noises, all right? So quiet is shh. You're doing things quietly. You're talking like this. In the library, you should be quiet. When your classmates are studying or doing a test, if you want to talk to someone, you talk to them in a very quiet voice. You try to be quiet. Or if you're walking around your house late at night or early in the morning when other people are asleep, you might turn on the television and make it very quiet so you don't make loud sounds so that you bother other people. And of course, hunting. The animals will run away or fly away if they hear loud noises. It will scare them. So the hunter has to be quiet, all right? So that's what he's trying to do. He really wants to catch this seal. However, we read, when he started to move, the seal slid into the sea. Not again. It got away like all the other ones. It just heard something, slid along that ice, and then bloop, it was in the water, and off it was. He was never going to catch it because it's swimming away in the cold ocean water. So he's still not successful. This was really tough. The end of a terrible day at work for the Inuit man. Man stood up after that. So he might have been sliding along or crouching or crawling along to try to, not get the seal to see him. Well, it gets away. There's no more point in staying quiet because there's nothing else to catch. So man stood up after that. And then, it's interesting, then we read, he got a strange feeling in his chest. That's kind of unusual. I hope it's nothing bad, but a strange feeling, well, if something is strange, this adjective tells us it's unusual, it's odd, it's weird, it's not what you normally expect. All right, so that is strange. If you wake up in the morning and all of your family are gone, you might be, hey, where is everyone? Normally they're chatting or having breakfast or my mom's helping my brother or whatever, and suddenly no one's there. That's really, really strange, okay? It could be scary, but more likely it's just something like, I don't normally see that every day, all right? So if you go out of your house and instead of people, going to work by car or motorcycle or bicycle, they're all riding horses. You might say, that's very strange. People don't usually ride horses around the city, okay? It's kind of unusual. It makes you go, that's weird, all right? But if you get a strange feeling in your body, that could actually be a little bit scary, right? If you wake up with a strange pain in somewhere, like, ow, that really hurts. What happened? I didn't fall down or hurt myself. That's very unusual or strange and maybe a little scary, especially if you have a strange feeling in your chest, because this is your chest. It's sort of the upper part of your body between your neck and your belt. The upper part is your chest. Your heart is in your chest. Your lungs are in your chest. And often, if someone had a pain in their chest, your first thought might be, oh, that's a heart attack. There's something wrong with you. It could just be you had, some bad food. Who knows? It's not always something terrible, but it is something definitely unusual to have a strange feeling in your chest. So we're not sure what's going on with First Man. We know he's had a very unsuccessful day hunting seal, but now this strange feeling in his chest, what's going on? Come back after the break and maybe we'll find out.
Suddenly, water started to come from his eyes. Also, loud cries came from his mouth. Those actions surprised Man because they never happened before.
So there's First Man. He has had a rough day. It hasn't been easy being an Inuit hunter in the northern parts of the world. He's trying to catch a seal, trying to bring home some food for his his family, but he's had no success. None at all. No luck, nothing good, no food, nothing to bring home. This has been a really bad day. And also it ended with him having a strange feeling in his chest, in this part of his body. Suddenly he has a strange feeling. I hope it's not like a pain around his heart. That could be like a heart attack, which of course would be terrible. But it doesn't seem to be that. But it is very unusual and, as we said, strange. Something this man has never experienced before. So what's happening? Let's read on to find out. It says, suddenly water started to come from his eyes. So these are probably the first tears that we saw mentioned in the title of the story. This is water coming from your eyes, right? It's probably because you're crying. You could be cutting up onions in the kitchen and oh man, those onions, it's making water come from my eyes. But actually, we use the same word. We would say crying. Those are tears that are coming from your eyes just because of an onion, not because of your emotions or your feelings. Well, whatever the case, whatever reason he's having these tears, wherever he's crying, this happened very quickly. And we know that because of that word suddenly, all right? So he was there, he had this strange feeling in his chest, and then all of a sudden, he starts to cry like that. And it wasn't a slow thing. He didn't kind of think, oh, this is terrible, and I'm getting sad, and I don't know what's gonna happen. No, it happened really quickly, suddenly. When something happens suddenly, it happens with no space, no gap, right away, all right? Also, as the tears were suddenly coming from his eyes, loud cries came from his mouth. I got a seal. I just want one seal. So these kinds of things, these loud cries, the kind of noises a person, a baby, anyone might make if they're really, really sad, really, really unhappy, and probably crying. So let's go down and look at some of those words. We mentioned suddenly, the adverb, very quickly, right away, with no space in time. It just happened all of a sudden, very, very suddenly, very, very quickly. Loud. When something is loud, it's at a high volume. We talked about quiet before. Loud is the opposite of quiet. You should be quiet when you're in a library. If you're at a pop concert or a rock and roll show, it's okay to be loud, all right? Birds on an early morning can be very quiet. Fireworks at night can be very, very loud. That's why the birds won't wake you up, but the fireworks, they will wake you up because they're very loud. And when you're crying, yeah, tears are coming out of your eyes. You might be making those kinds of sounds, those loud noises. But basically, we think of the tears, the eyes. Someone is probably very unhappy when they're crying, although you can cry from joy. You can cry from laughter. You're watching something that's so funny, you actually start to tear up a little bit. Or happiness, right? You see your best friend for the first time in 10 years and, oh, I'm so happy, I'm crying. But it's showing there's a lot of emotion going on. And when you do cry and you are sad especially, you might be making loud noises, and these loud noises or these cries, when you cry, we can also talk about screaming or yelling, something like that. You can cry out of pain, you can cry out of joy, hooray, or something like that. So it could mean tears from your eyes, it could also mean yelling or shouting from your voice. And if we're talking about those loud cries coming from your mouth, that's definitely what we're talking about there, the noises coming out of your mouth. This is your mouth. We use it to talk, we use it to eat, we use it to breathe, and we also use it to shout and make noises and things like that, all right? So the man is very upset, obviously. He's had a very bad, very frustrating day, but this is a long time ago, probably thousands or millions of years ago. So these actions surprised man because they never happened before. That's what we read as we come to the end of today's article. This is something that's never happened to him before. The water coming from the eyes, the loud cries coming from his mouth, this funny feeling in his chest, this kind of feeling of maybe sadness or worry or something like that. He's a very unhappy guy, and this is the first time it's probably happened to him. Every other time he's caught a seal. It hasn't been a problem. He hasn't had these difficulties, these frustrations, these terrible luck like he's having today. So all of this is a surprise to him. He is very surprised. When you're surprised, something unexpected happens, all right? To surprise someone is to do something unexpected. You could jump out and make a loud noise. You can be very nice to them. You can bring them a birthday present when they thought that you didn't know it was their birthday. So you can surprise someone in a good way, in a bad way, but basically you're doing something they don't expect. You're doing something that kind of comes as a shock or as a surprise. We can also use it as a noun. To surprise someone is to give them a surprise. And these feelings for this man, he was very surprised by them. He'd never had these feelings, these tears. He'd never made these loud cries before. So we're going to find out how that affects him, how that changes him, and what happens to him tomorrow in the last part of our Stories and Fables unit. We hope you can come back for that. Until then, take care, be well, and bye-bye.
Man did that again and again, but the seals always got away. In the end, there was only one seal on the seashore. Man didn't want it to get away, so he was really quiet. However, when he started to move, the seal slid into the sea. Man stood up after that. Then he got a strange feeling in his chest. Suddenly, water started to come from his eyes. Also, loud cries came from his mouth. Those actions surprised man because they never happened before.
Hi， 大家好，我是 Stephanie。那我们一起来看单字。第一个单字呢是 strange， 形容词，奇怪的。What is the strange smell？ 那个奇怪的味道是什么？那第二个呢是形容词 loud， 大声的。Is this music too loud for you？ 这音乐对你来说会太大声吗？那第三个呢是 mouth， 名词，嘴巴。Please cover your mouth when you cough。咳嗽的时候请遮住嘴巴。那第四个呢是 surprise， 动词，使惊讶，使意外。Alan surprised his girlfriend with flowers. Alan 送花给女友，让她惊喜不已。那接下来我们要一起看文法哦。第一个呢是 again and again， 一再的，重复的。Again 是副词，再一次的意思。像是 I will never get tired of the stories of Arsène Lupin. I can read them again and again. 我永远不会厌倦亚森罗平的故事，我可以一遍又一遍的阅读它们。那第二个呢是 in the end， 最后结果。end 在这边是名词，意思是末端尽头。比如说 Derek studied hard during law school. In the end, he passed the bar. Derek 在法学院的时候努力学习，最后他通过了律师考试。那第三个呢是 stand up， 站起来。Stand 的三态呢是 stand, stood, stood。相信大家应该对这个片语不陌生，至少我印象很深刻。小时候在上英文课的一开始，班长都会说 stand up， 起立，然后 bow， 敬礼。我们看一个例句哦。The little boy helped the old woman stand up. 小男孩帮助老奶奶站起来。那另外想和大家分享一个国外一种 talk show 很盛行，叫做 stand up comedy。这可不是站起来的喜剧哦，而是单口相声的意思。讲者呢通常会挑战一些敏感议题、时事或者是政治等等的，把这些话题加上自己精心安排的笑话，再加一点微讽刺，让观众可以以一个轻松愉快的心态知道社会上在发生什么事情。像是台湾的伯恩夜夜秀就是一种例子哦。好，那补充完毕 ，Ciao。
Buluowan is an old settlement of the Atayal tribe. It is 370 meters above sea level. The temperature is cool all year long. Buluowan is divided into upper and lower platform areas. The exhibition halls have Atayal culture and handicrafts on display. There are small wooden houses for visitors to stay overnight. Come visit Buluowan, and you'll know what heaven on earth is like.
See you next time!